Hello students, welcome to Toppscholars. Today we are going to start with the topic which is chemical reaction and equations. So what are we exactly going to discuss today? Yes, we will be discussing your 2019 to 2023 papers. First, let us give a look to this particular graph or the table here that we have. So as observed, for the last 5 years, we have the questions coming from 1, 2 and 3 marks, right? And we were discussing from 2019 to 2023, correct? First, let us begin with 1 mark question. So students, you can see in the year 2020, there were 3 questions, 21 1 question, 22 6 questions and 23 2 questions. So total, we have 12 questions from this particular topic giving you 12 marks, right? For 2 marks, we have 1 question from 2021 and 1 question in the year 2023. Total 2 marks giving you, total 2 questions giving you 4 marks. Whereas for 3 markers, we have 2 questions in the year 2019 and 1 question in the year 2020. Again, 1 more question in the year 2023. So in all, holding 4 questions giving you 12 marks. This doesn't look very exciting to you, right? But look at this graph here. With this graphical representation, you can understand every year consistently there are questions coming from this topic. Every year you will be getting in some or the other form, be it a 1 marker or a 2 marker or a 3 marker questions. Definitely it will be asked here. So what exactly we are going to discuss into this topic here? So into this chapter, students, we majorly understand the chemical reactions which are carried out between the substances. Different types of elements, how they are reacting with different types of other elements in the presence of water, absence of water, in the presence of heat. A variety of reactions are discussed under this topic. So in this video actually, we are not going to go into every detail of the concept, but definitely we will be discussing the concepts which I asked into the previous year topics. So first, let us list down a few questions which were there into the previous year. So see, here this is a question from the year 2019. It is a short answer question holding 3 marks for your children. Let us go for the question first. So they have given 2 grams of silver. It is always good to note down the information which is given into the question. Many times you will find your answer there itself. Okay. So you have 2 grams of silver chloride which is taken in a china dish, and the china dish is placed in sunlight for some time. Basically, you are heating it up, giving some temperature. What will be your observation in this case? What observation when you will see when silver chloride is heated? Write the chemical reaction involved in the formation. You have to give a balanced chemical equation and identify the type of chemical reaction. Correct? So once you have, you know what happens with silver chloride in the presence of heat, you have to just note down the chemical reaction, the balanced chemical equation, and what type of reaction it is. Easily giving you 3 marks for that. The next question here again is from the year 2019 students. This is again a short answer question holding 3 marks for you. So you have to identify the type of reaction which is taking place in each of the following cases. And then you have to write the balanced chemical equation. So students, it is always a good thing to understand how to balance the chemical equation. When you are solving this particular chapter, it is most important that you know how to balance your equations. If you don't know how to balance the equations, it will get a little tricky for you to answer other questions, right? And I'm pretty sure you must have learnt up till now how to balance your equations. So you have to write the balanced chemical reaction for the reactants which are provided to you. So see, you have zinc, which is the reactant reacting with silver nitrate, and the product which is given is zinc nitrate and silver. You are already given the reaction. You just have to write the balanced chemical reaction here, correct? Then you have potassium iodide reacting with lead nitrate to produce potassium nitrate and lead iodide. Again, just the balanced chemical equation. So by writing 2 balanced chemical equations, you will be easily getting 3 marks. And for this question, students, they have already given you the reactant and the product. You just have to write the balanced equation. The next question is from the year 2020 paper. It is a multiple choice question holding 1 mark for you. Correct? So let us look at the question here. You have calcium oxide, which is into the solid state, which is vigorously reacting with water, which is into the liquid state. What does it produce? It produces slaked lime, which is aqueous in nature, because you have mixed both of the components, right? Now, what type of reaction you can classify this reaction as? Combination reaction, exothermic reaction, endothermic reaction, oxidation reaction. So for this, students, it is very important that you understand different classifications of reaction. If you observe into the previous question also, they asked you what type of reaction it is. So it is very important that you learn about all of these different types of reaction. For example, exothermic reaction is a reaction which releases energy or heat. Endothermic reactions utilizes energy. So you should have basic knowledge about all of these reactions and you'll be able to answer these questions. Once you determine it, you have to select one of the options which are given and you can score 1 mark for your multiple choice question. Next is again for the CBSE year 2020 paper. This is again one multiple choice question holding 1 mark for you. The question says, when hydrogen sulfide gas is passed through blue solution of copper sulfate, what do you produce? A black precipitate of copper sulfide and sulfuric acid is also formed. The reaction is an example of combination, displacement, decomposition or double displacement reaction. Again, students, they are just asking you what type of reaction is. And if you observe the pattern that you find into these questions, children, they are already giving you most of the times what is the reactant and what is the product. You don't have to, every time remember that. Rather, it is important that you know about the different types of reactions which are present into this chapter. Okay. Next is again for the year 2020, again a multiple choice question giving 1 mark. There were many multiple choice questions, I say. So, in a double displacement reaction, such as the reaction between sodium sulfate solution and barium chloride, you are doing double displacement. That means two elements are getting displaced into this reaction, correct? So, you have to state what is happening. Exchange of atoms, exchange of ions, a precipitate and an insoluble salt is produced. Once you understand what reaction it is, or even if you don't understand the reaction between sodium sulfate and barium chloride, just discuss or just remember what is double displacement reaction. That's what I'm repeating again and again. It's very important to know different types of reactions which are given. And if you remember the concept for that, it will be easy for you to answer here, right? So here you have different types of reactions. Exchange of atoms, exchange of ions, precipitation is produced and an insoluble salt is produced. After that, you have to select the correct option and answer accordingly. Okay. Again, from the 2020 year paper, students, we have a short answer question holding 3 marks for you. Let us look at the question. You have 1 gram of copper powder. Again, it was taken into a china dish and heated. What will happen if you are heating the compound? When hydrogen gas is passed over this heated substance, a visible change is seen. So what you have to do? You have to just determine the chemical equation of all the reactions which happen. First reaction is between the copper powder and china dish on heating. The second is when hydrogen gas is passed through that sample or passed through that product which is formed. So by doing that, you will be able to get 3 marks over here, because you have to determine the equation, the name of the substance and the color of the product formed in each and every case. Okay. Now students, we are onto the 2021 paper. The first question that we have here is a very short answer question giving 1 mark. Such a simple question, students. What is a balanced chemical equation? That is, the number of reactants that we are using into the reaction is equal to the number of product. Then only we can say that the reaction is balanced here. Or, other question is, why is respiration considered as an exothermic reaction? So, what is respiration reaction? Intercellular respiration reaction, you have glucose along with oxygen producing carbon dioxide and water. Into this process, students, also we are producing some amount of this energy. This energy which is produced, children, it is released in the form of heat As heat is being expelled during this reaction, we call this reaction as an exothermic reaction. That's it. That's all you have to explain into this question. Next question from the same year is again a short answer question giving 2 marks for you students. You have to give the chemical name of the reactant as well as the product of the following chemical equation. So you have already given with the reaction here and you have to just write down the reactants and the product. So such a simple answer here students, you have to just write down the names here, correct? So this here we have is nitric acid. This one will be your calcium hydroxide, producing calcium nitrate along with water. Just write down the names and you will be getting 2 easy marks for this question. Now students, coming to the year 2022 paper, it is a multiple choice question giving 1 mark for you. So a student took sodium sulfate into a test tube and added barium chloride to it. So what he observed? He observed that an insoluble substance has formed. Insoluble, that means it is not able to dissolve in water. The color and molecular formula of insoluble substance is given to you. Like grey, barium sulfate, yellow, BaSO4 twice, white, Ba2SO4 and pink, Ba2SO4. So you have to determine what will be the product formed when your sodium sulfate is reacting with barium chloride. So you will be producing barium sulfate, that is for sure, and the color which you observe, you have to mark accordingly. The next, again 1 more question which is a multiple choice question from the same year paper. They have given you the reaction, correct? And if you look into this reaction, this is actually your respiration reaction. This one is your glucose along with oxygen producing carbon dioxide and water. Rather, this is a balanced chemical reaction for the respiration. Okay, so you have to state the above reaction is a type of which reaction? You have displacement, endothermic, exothermic, neutralization. So, if you understand this reaction students well, you know that heat energy is released into this reaction. That is why we call this reaction as exothermic. So, this will be your answer. Such an easy question, right? From the same year students, you have 1 more multiple choice question. So, which of the following statement about the reaction below are correct? Correct, you have this reaction and they have given a few statements. HCl is oxidized to Cl2, MnO2 is reduced to MnCl2, then you have MnCl2 which is acting as an oxidizing agent and HCl acts as an oxidizing agent. So, you have to understand all of these statements, which of the following is correct for the reaction which is given and select the correct options accordingly. From the same year paper, 1 more multiple choice question. I believe 2022 has given you a lot of MCQs for this chapter. So the question says, it is important to balance the chemical equation to satisfy the law of conservation of mass, which is correct. And which of the statement of the law is incorrect? Right? The total mass of elements present in the reactant is equal to the total mass of elements present in the product. Remember students, we have to find the incorrect statement. Always mark such points. Okay? You have to find out the incorrect statement. So the first statement says a total mass of element present in the reactant is equal to the total mass of element present in the product. Okay? This is the correct statement. The number of atoms of each element remain the same before and after the chemical reaction. The chemical composition of the reactant is the same before and after the reaction. The mass can neither be created nor be destroyed into the chemical reaction. Correct? So, you have to understand the law for the chemical reaction which is important and accordingly you have to select the option for this particular question. 1 more multiple choice question from the same year paper. Which of the following reaction is categorized as thermal decomposition? How would you understand thermal decomposition? In this reaction, you would see that there is decomposition carried out, correct? You want to decompose the reactant, but here you are using thermal energy to do that. Okay, that is, the particular temperature is required to carry out that decomposition reaction. That's why we call it as thermal decomposition. Okay, so you are provided with different options where water, AgBr, AgCl and CaCO3 are all decomposed into different products. But which of the following will require thermal decomposition? That is what we have to answer. From the same year, one more multiple choice question, students. The pair which will show the displacement is or are, you have NaCl solution and copper metal, you have silver nitrate solution and copper metal, you have aluminium sulfate solution and magnesium metal, you have zinc sulfate solution and iron metal. So, which of the following reactions will show you a displacement reaction? Remember, students, again repeating the same thing, you have to just know about the different types of chemical reactions that we have here. And accordingly, you can select your options and you can get easy 1 mark for the same. Now coming to the very recent year paper, that is your 2023 paper, giving you 1 mark for this. So here into this question, you can say, this is a very short answer type question, again 1 mark only. The emission of brown fumes in the given experimental setup is due to what? So let's understand the setup here. Into the test tube, you have lead nitrate. And when the lead nitrate is burning with the help of a burner, you can see brown fumes coming out of it, right? So they are asking you, these brown fumes that you observe into this experimental setup is due to what? Is it because of the thermal decomposition of lead nitrate which produce brown fumes of nitrogen dioxide? Thermal decomposition of lead nitrate which produces brown fumes of lead oxide? Oxidation of lead nitrate forming lead oxide and nitrogen oxide? And oxidation of lead nitrate forming lead oxide and oxygen. So here, students, what we can do is we can try to eliminate the incorrect options. As you can see, we are burning, that means you are providing thermal energy. Thermal energy is there, correct? So as there is thermal energy provided, this will be a type of your thermal decomposition reaction. So with this, you can actually eliminate the last two options. The oxidation, definitely there will be oxidation carried out, but it is a thermal decomposition which is doing that oxidation, right? So by doing this, you can eliminate, you can do this trick to apply to your questions, eliminate the incorrect options, and you will be reaching your answer, your goal very quickly. Same year, students, we have multiple choice question again. We have MnO2 plus XHCl giving you MnCl2, YH2O and ZCl2. You have to put the values of X, Y and Z. Basically, you have to just determine the balanced chemical equation here, right? So, depending upon how many elements that we have here and what type, fulfill all the valency of those elements, and you can try to determine the balanced equation here. So, if you look into this option here, you have MnO2 plus XHCl giving you MnCl2, YH2O and ZCl2. They are asking you for each and every one. Okay. So if you look, start with the basic. Even if you don't know what will be how many products it will be forming and what is the number which is used, you can start by this one. See, oxygen is like 2 onto the left side, that is into the reactant. So definitely here you will be having, because none of the other product has oxygen, so this will be 2. Y will be 2. So Y, X, Y and Z. Y is 2. You can eliminate option B. Correct? Moving ahead. Now, as you are using 2H2O, yani 2 water molecules are produced here, the value for hydrogen comes out to be 4. That means you are going to use 4 molecules over here. That means 4 HCl molecules. Correct? Now, your X comes out to be 4. Now, without even getting the answer for this one, you can easily write down the answer. So, by doing this, you don't even want to know about what is the Z value. You can easily get your answer as this. See, because 4, 2 is present only into this option. Still, we'll see what is for Z. See, it's given for Cl on the left side, you are using 4 molecules. Correct? 2 molecules are used here, 2 molecules are used here. So, Z value is only 1. So, you get the answer as 4, 2, 1 for this particular balancing equation. From this paper, again, students, we have a short answer question giving 2 marks for you. Write a balanced chemical equation for the reaction that occurs when blue colored copper crystals are heated, and what will happen when sodium hydrogen carbonate is heated during cooking. So you have to tell here what will be the reaction for this heat which is provided onto both of these compounds, and just give the product like a balanced chemical equation for that, and you will be able to get 2 marks for that. From the same year paper, again we have a short answer question giving you 2 marks, children. You have to identify the reducing agent into this following reaction, and you have to also define redox reaction in terms of gain or loss of oxygen. See, when you go for a redox reaction, you know that either you gain oxygen or lose oxygen, or you can also write it in the terms of gaining or losing of your electrons. But here specifically, they have asked you to explain it into the terms of gain or loss of oxygen. So you have to answer both of these questions, because here we have to just identify the reducing agent, and into the second question you have to just define a redox reaction. So children, up till now we observed all the different types of questions which are present, or which are, like the pattern which they follow into the different types of questions asking for this particular topic. Now let us try to solve some questions which are a little difficult. So here the question says, students, 2 grams of silver chloride is taken into a china dish, okay, and the china dish is placed in sunlight for some time. So you have to state what will be your observation in this case. You have to write the chemical reaction which is involved in the form of balanced chemical equation, and also identify the time. So let us look at the solution here. So what we are doing, we are taking silver chloride, that is AgCl. So when silver chloride is kept in sunlight, it breaks down into silver and chloride. It's going to break it down. So because of the breakdown, the color here turns out to be grey. Silver is grey in color, correct? So you can write down the reaction here is 2AgCl2. You have to write down the balanced equation, okay? So it gives you 2Ags, which is solid state, and you will be having Cl2 gas. And this type of a reaction is an example of photochemical. Photo means light. Chemical reaction because it is changing the chemical structure. You're starting with silver chloride, you're getting silver and chloride separately. And it is a decomposition reaction because you're decomposing the elements here, correct? You're separating the elements here. That is why we call it as a photochemical decomposition reaction. The next question, students, is from the year 2020, holding 3 marks for you. Okay, the question says 1 gram of copper powder was again taken into a china dish and it was heated. Similarly, you have to state what changes takes place. Now, when the hydrogen gas is passed over this heated substance, a visible change is seen. You have to mention the chemical equation for both of these reactions which are taking place here. So, the solution says here, see, you have 1 gram of copper powder, okay? You put it into a china dish and you heat it. So, when that copper powder, which is red in color, heated in the presence of oxygen, correct? Because air contains oxygen, you are heating it, it produces CuO. Okay, it is forming the substance which is copper oxide. And this copper oxide is black in color. Why it's producing oxide? Because it has taken the oxygen from the atmosphere. Correct? Now, onto this copper oxide, when you are passing hydrogen gas. Okay. So, you have done the oxidation reaction where a copper is getting oxidized to form copper oxide. And when hydrogen gas is passed over this heated substance CuO, it will produce copper metal. Okay. So, you have the reaction CuO reacting with H2O, giving you copper which is into the solid state and producing water. Okay. All of this will be produced when hydrogen gases passed through that. So, this reaction which you see here, which is producing a copper metal, like from where we actually started, the copper metal, this metal reaction formation will be a visible change. That is why they are asking you to mention what is the visible change you observed. Also, there was a question to mention the color of the products which are formed into this situation. The color that you find for the copper into the beginning is red-brown. The product formed copper oxide is black in color. In the second reaction, the copper metal formed is again brown in color. For this question, students, it is from the year 2023, giving 2 marks. You have to write the balanced equation when blue colored copper sulfate are heated and sodium hydrogen carbonate is heated during cooking. So let's look at the solution here. So when you have blue crystals of copper sulfate, CuSO4, you are heating it. So after heating it, it turns into white salt. Okay, as it is forming the 5 water of your crystallization that were present into it, those were lost because into copper sulfate you have 5 molecules of water which are present, and as you are heating it, the water will be evaporated. So what do you get? You get crystallized form. It produces crystallized form of your 4NO plus water plus 6HO2. Okay. Then you have the second reaction, which is your sodium hydrogen carbonate, that is NaHCO3. NaHCO3, when it is heated, it decomposes into multiple products. It produces sodium carbonate, carbon dioxide and water. So here students, you just have to mention what will be the product formed during the heating of 2 elements. One is your colored copper sulfate solution and second is your sodium hydrogen carbonate. Just by writing these 2 chemical reactions only, you will be able to score 2 marks for this question. So children, I hope this was helpful and you have understood all the questions that we discussed today and the different types of chemical reactions that we did. If you have any other doubt or query regarding all of these questions, do write us into the comment section. Like, share and subscribe for more such interesting videos. Until then, thank you and happy learning.